Alrighty, hello guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are doing a tutorial. Now, I don't normally do tutorials, and I kind of feel like I suck at tutorials, but today we're going to be trying to build a 3-stage rocket. So the way this is going to work is we're going to have a liquid booster on the main booster in the center, we're going to have a liquid booster on the actual escape pod as well, and we're also going to actually have some solid fuel boosters on the outside. So essentially we need microcontrollers to control each of these things from up there. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I'll show you guys how this actually works. Okay, so to begin with, we aren't going to worry about microcontrollers. All we need to worry about is actually building a 3-stage rocket. So the first piece is going to be a liquid fuel rocket. The second piece is going to be another liquid fuel rocket, but a lot bigger. And then the third stage is actually going to be some solid fuel boosters on the sides. So that is how we're going to build this. Hopefully we can get it working. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing that you'll need is actually our first rocket. So go straight to rocket, grab ourselves a small one and shove that right there like so. Essentially what this is our last stage. That's what we're building first, which is weird, but there you go. Anyway, from there we're going to get ourselves a tank because we need to be able to actually refuel this thing. So we've got oxygen on this side, we've got hydrogen on this side. Essentially what you want to do there is attach your tanks to both of them, remembering which one is which, and then you click on the tank and you change it to whichever one is which. So this one was hydrogen, this one is oxygen. And essentially that is the fuel for this kind of rocket. In the middle of there, we're going to build upwards. You can do this however you want to, by the way. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and build upwards, and we're going to put a seat directly on top of there. Bam. There we go. So that is essentially, very basically, our first stage. From there, we're going to need to be able to send composite data from the top piece to the next stage, and the way that I like to do that is actually through a hardpoint. Essentially, you need to go to the hardpoint, and you'll see that we have a composite data send, and we have a composite data receive, which is exactly what you need in order to send data between entities. And what I mean by entities is this. So if we go down to here, and we actually put one of these underneath here, there we go. So this is the way that I like to do this because I'm weird, but yeah, have that directly underneath the booster. Doesn't look very good, but it does work. So there you go. Anyway, separate entities. If you want to do this the easy way, which I like to do, I get ourselves a pivot, and I essentially attach it onto here. Now the easiest way to decide which is a different entity to the other is probably actually through the merge tool. So as you guys can see, this is part of the red one. This is all together. Any logic you do within there to anything in there actually just works straight away. You don't need a composite data to actually send on the same one, which is cool. And that works fine, which you guys will already know. Anyway, this green piece right here is the next entity. So if we go ahead and get ourselves a hardpoint connector and we put it right here and we delete this, this becomes our new entity. And that is a separate piece to the rest of that. And what that means is this bit and whatever we build below it can be separated from this piece, which is pretty nice. So we're not going to worry about the data going to that just yet. We're going to go ahead and build ourselves another rocket directly underneath, which we are going to be able to control as well. Okay, so the way that we're going to use this then is we're actually going to go ahead and attach this onto here, this onto here, and we're going to get ourselves some tanks. Here we go. And I think we're actually going to go ahead and use large tanks this time. So go ahead and build this off to the side, build this off to the side, and shove a large tank in right there, and a large tank in right there. Oh, we have to flip them over. They only have one entry, which is right here and right here. And essentially, they're going to have to go into a rocket as well. So, because this is the second stage, and actually kind of a big one, we're going to go for a larger rocket. So something like this. Unfortunately for us, we need to build it right in the center, so let's do this. There we go. So a big old rocket, here we go. Shove that onto there like so. We need to make sure that we can actually attach these guys straight to it. So put it on there and turn sideways, just so that we can actually get the fuel into these areas. So get a pipe and attach those together. Again, you can do this however you want. The main thing that you need to know is that you need some sort of connector in between these, and we will need a microcontroller in order to actually control them. Again, I'm not very good with tutorials. Hopefully this is helping. Okay, so this is our current situation. Our first entity is this one up here, and it has a single rocket on it, and it has the chair that is going to control everything. Our second booster is down here on a separate entity, so that means we need a microcontroller to send data from the first one to the second one, because the seat is on the first one. That's okay. If we then look at the actual nodes we've got to control, we have to control this right here, so we'll need an on-off sent through composite data. We'll also need a throttle, we'll need a gimbal, and we'll need another gimbal. That is all the stuff that we need. If you wanted to, which I'm not going to show you guys today, but you can actually also send this data as well, but that needs a bigger microcontroller, which we're not going to do today. But essentially, you just send this back, which is fine. Okay, so we are not done yet, because we need our third stage. What is our third stage going to be? It is the solid fuel boosters. So let's go ahead and shove these guys onto the edges right here. We're then going to get ourselves the pivots again, in order to create separate entities yet again. And we're going to go ahead and shove those all around here. We're then going to attach these guys inwards. There we go. This guy inwards as well. Hopefully that is attached correctly. It is indeed. And this one also needs to go inwards. So if we can, do that. There we go. All right, delete all of these. We no longer need them. If we then go to merge, you can see that these are all different colors to the green, which means they're separate entities. Hopefully this is helping, and hopefully you're following. Honestly, I suck at tutorials, but I'm trying my best here. So, we're going to go ahead and put these guys on the edges right here, because we're going to have some solid fuel boosters on these pieces. So put that there. There we go. Put this here and here. And then we type in rocket yet again. Essentially, all we need from here is some rocket boosters. I'm going to go with medium ones because they're about the right size. And we can chuck them all on here like this. There you go. I'm actually going to go ahead and put them all the way around. And then we obviously need something to actually launch them, which is this piece right here. So there you go. That is all the way around. Lovely. Those are our extra boosters on the sides. So from here, what we actually need to do is be able to control the trigger. That is the only thing that we're actually going to put on this side. So that's pretty good. Yeah, there you go. So actually, we will put a few more of these on. There we go, just to get us a little bit further into space. And what you will probably want to do as well is decrease the burn rate drastically. Like a hell of a lot. Make it really, really low. Because these rockets do fire quite hard, and they also run out of fuel really quickly if your burn rate is high. So yeah, make sure it's really low. Okay, so this is essentially our 3-stage rocket. What do you guys think? I know it's kind of ugly. I know there's not very much to it, but this is hopefully going to work. So, what do we have? We have our first stage, being this piece right here with the booster. That is a liquid fuel booster, so we need liquid fuel. The second one has its own liquid fuel as well, this tank and this tank, that goes into there. And we've got our solid fuel boosters as our third stage around the sides. I guess actually that's our first stage, that's our second stage, and that's our third. But there you go. One thing that I'm not sure I did, or not, is actually change these into anything. I didn't. So what you're going to need to make sure you do is make sure you have oxygen to the oxygen one, and you have hydrogen to the hydrogen one. So the one on the left is hydrogen for me, and the one on the right is oxygen. So go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay, so the first and the easiest stage to do is actually the first one. Essentially, you need to make sure you know when you want the ignition to go off on the first rocket, which is actually the last rocket. And for me, that is actually going to be on number 1. The main reason I'm not putting it on spacebar is because the solid fuel boosters and the liquid fuel booster are going to be on spacebar instead. You don't want this one igniting before you actually detach the rest of them, because what's the point? There isn't. Anyway, the next thing we're going to do is add X to A and D. We're going to add the gimbal Z to W and S, and we're going to add the throttle to up and down. There we go. That is all of those done. So let's go ahead and show you guys, hopefully, that working. Okay, so we're sat in the seat. Nothing is going to work except the first bit. So go ahead and throttle up a little bit. Go ahead and press 1. And, oh wait, we don't have a detaching button. We don't actually have the ability to detach. 1 second. So you're also going to actually need to be able to detach at the same time. Now you might as well do that on the same controller you have the ignition on. So go ahead and put launch on there, and off we go. Whee! Okay, everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go! There you go. So we do actually have gimbal control over this. but it's only very little, and we only have very little fuel. So that is worth saying as well. But yeah, you can build this however you want. You could add more fuel to this thing if you wanted to, and you can make it longer, etc, etc. I'm just showing you guys it working, that's all. Okay, so first stage is the easiest, and that one does currently work, which is awesome. What we're going to do from there is figure out how many different things we actually need down here. So, it's easiest to write this down. Essentially, just write down how many pink donuts there are that you need to control. So there's 1, and then there is 4. But because of the way these work, you only need that to be 1, if that makes sense. Because they're all on the same button, but they all get sent to different pieces. I don't know how to explain that any easier, but hopefully as we do it, we'll be able to show you guys how that works. The other thing we need is actually 3 of these donuts as well, so essentially you just need the opposite. So right here what we need is 1 for this, and this, and this, and this, but they're all tied together, so that's just 1. We then need 1 pink donut for this, so again that's only 1. We then need 3 green donuts, and that is it. That is all we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the microcontroller editor and figure this out together. So, let's go to logic. Here we go, add a node. There we go, so that is going to be 1 of those donuts. We're then going to add another 1 of those donuts. There we go. And then we need the 3 numbers. Here we go, so there's another donut. Here is another donut, if we can. Which is going to be a number, and another donut because we can as well. So that's also going to be a number. So this will control gimbal X. In fact, we can actually write this down. So this one is going to be boosters. Side boosters. There you go. So that's good. This one is going to be for the liquid rocket. There we go. Excellent. This one is for gimbal X. That's sure. There you go. This one is gimbal Z. Okay. And then this one on the end is actually our throttle. So there we go. That is all of them controlled. Now what you're going to need for this is another node, because we need composite data. Essentially that's the one that you send through. And that needs to be the opposite to these guys. So if these ones are all donuts, then that one needs to be a donut hole, I guess. This isn't strictly true. This isn't necessarily true. But for how simple we are doing it today, that is what we're going to have. Okay, so if we go into logic from there, this is all of the separate pieces that we actually have that we need to connect together. In order to do this, we actually need I think it's a write. Let's go with write to begin with. So we're going to need a write. Essentially what this does is allows you to connect these guys to here, which then connects straight into there, which is fine. We can totally do that. We are going to need another one of those. There you go. So we can send this one through. And we're going to need another one of those so we can send this one through. There you go. In order to send all of this data actually through each other, we're going to have to attach these guys together like this. Okay, so you will notice all of the green ones are connected because we've done composite write number and we've added all of those. The next thing you want to find is a composite write for the on and off. So composite write on off, there you go. You can now attach this one to here, attach it to there, and then you get another one and you do the same thing right there. So essentially it needs to look like this. You need to make sure all of the composite datas are linked together going upwards, and you also need to make sure that all of these are actually connected to something. And then again, you need the last one to actually connect to the input. There you go. Now I'm going to try and make this look a little bit more simple by dragging these guys down. You don't need to do this, but I do feel like it looks a little bit more simple with straight lines. So there you go, they're all connected. What you want to do from there is make sure that you click on these. Now they have different channels. In order to separate the input from this one, and this one, they all need to be on separate channels. So let's say our throttle is on number 1. Gimbal Z is going to be on number 2. Oh wait, actually, that's not how you do it. You do start channel number 2. You then go to the gimbal X, and the start channel of that one is going to be number 3. We can then do the same thing down here, but because it's a on-off, I believe they have different channels. So you can leave that one as 1, and this one is going to be 2. There we go. Nice. Okay, so what you're going to want to remember here is what you actually put each of them on. So throttle is number 1, gimbal Z is number 2, and gimbal X is number 3. You need to remember all of that so that you can actually do it as you go down. It's easier to put them together. I will actually upload these so you guys can check them out as well. Don't worry too much about that. And yeah, it should be fine. So make sure you actually name your controller. So we're going to go ahead and name this... what should we name it actually? Let's name it right. Okay, so this is going to be Rocket. 3-stage rocket. Right. There we go. Okay, cool. No channel description needed. And the symbol is just going to be a rocket, I guess. Yeah, a rocket. This is our rocket, guys. Sorry, it looks so wrong, but there you go. Bam. That is... That's going to be our rocket. There we go. All right, good. So make sure you save this as 3-stage rocket. Right. There we go. And now we can actually use it. So you back out of here. You go into your actual inventory. And you type in rocket. And here it is. So this is the first one that we actually have. Now we need to figure out where to actually put this. Because, yeah, reasons. Okay, cool. So, because we've actually went with donuts here, you want to put it on the first stage, essentially, because this is where the donut holes are. So, whatever you want to go to throttle, which is up and down, you do that. Whatever you want to go to W and S, which is actually our gimbal Z, we're going to go ahead and attach that to there. And again, on A and D, this is currently to gimbal Z, or gimbal X, so we'll attach that together as well. The next thing we need to do is figure out how we want to launch the rockets. So we're going to go ahead and have liquid rocket right here. Go up to spacebar. There we go. And the other rockets are actually going to be on spacebar as well. There we go. Alright, so now we've got all of those connected. Let's go ahead and do the next bit. Okay, cool. So all of that's actually fine, but what I'm thinking we do, instead of having this control this separate rocket on 1, we'll actually put that on 2 instead. So connect 2 to your ignition on the first rocket, and connect it to either launch or release, it doesn't really matter. So there we go, that's good. We're then gonna have 1 be on side boosters, and that's pretty good. There we go. So now we need to make the opposite microcontroller so that this actually works. Oh, and you want to connect the output, or the input, into data send. So there you go. Good. That is our first stage. Hopefully now we can move on to the next bit and get all of that working as well. Alright, so, you guessed it, what you want on this side is you actually want an output, an output, an output, an output, there you go, an output, and then the composite data is going to be an input, so essentially you just turn it all around. Then you go back into the logic, delete each of these because you no longer need them, there you go, bring this guy over to this side, and now we're going to need the opposite, so it's going to be read. Essentially, that goes into there, it then goes into there. We're going to have to do this multiple times so that it all works. Here we go. So, another reads, here we go. That's going to go there. Bosh and Bosh. We're then going to get another one, attach that into there, and this into here. And then we're going to need it for the on-off as well. So, read on-off, there we go. Read on-off, there we go. Attach these guys together, and attach them to here. Bosh and Bosh. Alright, cool. So now we're going to need that picture that we took earlier, or the writing down that we done earlier, just so that we can actually attach these guys together. So, throttle, what was that on? I believe it was on 1. Was Z on 2? Yes, it was. So let's go ahead and make this number 2 for the channel. Then this one is going to be number 3, because that's the way it works. This one is 1, and this one is 2. There we go. Okay, so we're going to have a slightly different symbol for this one. I'm never very good with the symbols that we can have for these, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. It looks nothing like what it should, but there you go. So this is going to be 3-stage rocket, read, and we're going to go ahead and save that as 3-stage rocket read. Bam. Okay, cool. That's good. So now if we exit out of here, we can actually go to this 3-stage rocket read, and we can put it on the second stage, which is just here. Bosh. What are we going to do with that? We're going to attach it all together. Of course we are. So you want the composite data input to go to the first hard point. There you go. Because that's sending the data from there through the hardpoint into here. Very nice. From there, we're going to have to attach all of these guys together. So Gimbal Z, we're going to attach that to Gimbal Z. Gimbal X will attach to Gimbal X. And the throttle is going to go to the throttle. There we go. We then have liquid rocket. That is going to go to the liquid rocket ignition. And our side boosters is actually going to go to either release or launch. Doesn't really matter which one, because all it's doing is detaching them. So there we go. Each of those are connected. All right, let's go ahead and show you guys what this does. Also, it's a very good idea to actually label your things, because at the minute we haven't really labeled anything, so it's all guesswork. But essentially, if we press spacebar now, the liquid fuel booster actually works. We've then got gimbals for that if we need to, so we can actually turn it around, which is awesome. And if we press 1, those guys get jettisoned, which is awesome. Now, the last thing that we need to do is actually come up with a way of launching the boosters. How are we going to do that? I will show you. Okay, so we have our boosters right here, and the only thing that they actually have is one of these, which is a trigger. So what you're going to want to do is go back into microcontrollers, okay? We're going to start a new one. There we go. And it only needs to be a 1x2, so make sure you do that. We're going to call this booster ignition. There we go. We're going to go to the logic, and essentially we're going to need one of these. So it's going to be a on-off, yes, but it's going to be an output. Okay, very good. We're then going to need a composite data on this side, which is the opposite. So there you go. If we then go into logic, we can put this here. There we go. We need to get ourselves a... Whoa. We're going to need to get ourselves a read for the number. Attach that to there. Attach that to there. That's it. That's all we need. Very easy. Okay, so I'm going to call this one Booster Ignition Read. There we go. We are then going to save it. Whoa. Actually, give it a symbol if you want to. You don't really need to. But yeah, let's save this as Booster Ignition Read. There we go. And now we're going to need a Booster Ignition Write. So essentially you change this from output to input, input to output. You go back into the logic, you delete the read in the middle, and you change it to a write, because that's the way that this works. So we go to write for the on-off. We attach that to there. We attach this down to here. And again, that is actually all you need. So make sure you save this properly as write. There you go. And just save it. Here we go. New. Bam. Booster ignition. Right. Oh, sorry. Right. There we go. Good. And now we put it on our spacecraft. So, right. Okay. So you want the right to go onto here. There we go. Onto the main bit of the rocket. You can have this go however you want, but essentially just make sure that it's all on there. There we go. And attach them all to there. I think you do only actually need one of these, but I've gone ahead and put loads. So that's fine. Anyway, what we'll do is connect it to the liquid rocket one, because that is also the booster ignition. There you go. Good. From there, we're going to go to composite data. Each of the little microcontrollers that you just put on, go ahead and click on send. There you go. So send it to send. Bosh, Bosh, and Bosh. There we go. All right, awesome. So that's all getting sent. What you want to do from there is you actually want to get a read, and you want to put that on your rocket. So go ahead and put this guy right here, this guy right here, and this guy right here in order for this to work. Okay, good. So from there, you actually want to go from data receive down to input, data receive to input, do it again, and do it again, all the way around. And from there, we need to go back to data so that we can attach the inputs onto the triggers of the rockets. So there we go. Each of those is being added. There we go. And now all of that should work. So we've built a 3-stage rocket in Stormworks. I'm sorry if this tutorial has been a little bit confusing. Hopefully you guys can slow it down and go through it methodically. But this is essentially it. We've built a 3-stage rocket. So let's fly up and get into our seat. And let's do it all together. So, if we wanted this thing to move, we're going to go ahead and throttle up a little bit. We're going to press spacebar, and that is going to launch all of the boosters and the liquid fuel in the middle. There we go. To be able to control it, you want to be able to use the W and S keys, which is fine. This thing isn't balanced, but that's okay. As soon as those boosters run out of fuel, we'll go ahead and send them off with 1. In fact, let's do that now. Whee! There we go. And then, if you wanted to detach your last stage, all you got to do is press 2. And there you go. So, although this doesn't really work in terms of actually going upwards, it does work in terms of all of the stages actually working. So what you'll want to do is balance out your aircraft, or balance out your rocket, a little bit better than I have, and it will work fine. It will work completely fine. Anyway, for now, I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll upload each of these microcontrollers if you guys want to use them. And actually, no, I will upload the rocket. Let me just paint all of the microcontrollers a different color so you guys can copy and paste them onto your creation. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let's go ahead and do this. This one's green, green, and green. And they link up with green. Oh, should I do like a slightly different green actually? So each of the green ones actually sort of link together. That's fine. Where's our other microcontroller? This one. So our red one gets controlled with our red one. And that's it. That's all of our microcontrollers done. I don't think you need all of these. You could just do one, but that's fine. Anyway, yeah, I'll upload this. And if you guys want to use the microcontrollers on here, you can. Anyway, for now, thank you very, very much for watching. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.